Good drawback memories parking out there trying to fight for a parking spot.
Still haven't upgraded my parking pass. Racking up the tickets this year.
I'll get the money out of you one way or the other.
All right, we are on TV. Not live, but it's being recorded. Oh God. Today we have the pleasure of the second company that decided or agreed to come and speak to you all about job opportunities. We have one of our graduates, Robert Matthews, in 2004, right?
Yep. August of 2004.
2004, I taught him, and you all see the outcome, right?
No gray hair.
No gray hair, and he's the vice president of GSE. And he's going to tell us about GSE. First time you're here, so we are looking forward to seeing some amazing work, what you are doing, and more importantly, what are the job opportunities for graduating students as well as co-op opportunities. Put this down, you need the projections.
Yeah, is it HDMI? This whole thing here hanging out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I've got a decent two-factor.
Have you met our faculty? Dr. New?
Yeah, I interrupted his class. I thought.
No, we're done.
And Dr. Hazelton? You were here during the time of Dr. Elton. He has moved on to, he went to Nevada, was doing the Blue Basin thing, and then came back to Nickel State, Louisiana, and now he retired. He's back in Nevada, enjoying it.
Retired and working on his tractors all the time, I'm sure.
Yes, and he was also making his own beers.
He was what?
Making his homemade beers.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yep. And as long as you share it, right?
Yeah, I get it. Too much work for me, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, since you've gone, you were there when we were in maths and science.
Mm-hmm.
We moved over to Hawkins for a while, spent some time there, and then from Hawkins to fourth floor, and then next floor to stay for class 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's what I was telling the guys that were helping me. Everything that we had was at math and science, everything.
But the lab is the only thing that's there now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to see you, and again, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the food.
Yeah. Is there enough over there? I hope.
You know how students are, that's what we get to come.
I was in college one time, no about this. Free food anytime, yeah, makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I could do that. Yeah, and whatever's left, you know, feel free to take it on my table. So the way that I'm going to do this, I'm just going to talk about our company for a little bit and what I do and where I came from and all that. And then I've got some brochures that kind of tell about what we do on the civil and survey side as well as the company as a whole. Because we are not just a survey company. I mean, we do everything. So what I wanted, the way that I'd like to approach it is just kind of go through a quick PowerPoint or PDF, whatever she sent me, and I'll go down through that real quick, get that out of the way, and then I'd like to just have a bunch of discussion. You know, I want y'all to ask questions because, you know, we are definitely looking to hire. We want to grow the survey department and in all three of our offices, and we're trying to expand into other areas and open more offices. So, but I'd like, you know, we just have a bunch of discussion, you know, ask any questions. Chances are, if you thought of it, I've done it. And I mean, and I'm not trying to sound cocky or anything like that, just over the years of being with experience, I've been involved with that, just about every aspect of survey. So I gotta go through all the IT craziness to get onto the server real quick, and then we'll get started. And like I said, I've got a bag of goodies, whatever, y'all just stuff yourself, bottle openers, pins,
Use that for milk, it's not really cold.
Use it for dairy products.
See that? He brought those to keep our milk cold.
Which one is that? That's good.
Probably won't keep our milk freezing.
Robert, you were there during the time when Alan Nobles used to visit us, right? Well, he has, you know Alan Nobles? Alan Nobles from, yeah. He also sold out to Sam's.
Yeah, Sam went around and
Yeah,
called everybody.
so how come you all didn't get an offer? I'm
I
sure,
did, but I didn't want to move to Texas. So,
but Alan is still in Florida, so he's still,
yeah, I got their, you know, I think they're based, aren't they based out of Austin?
yeah.
So their Austin office contacted me about, this has been probably 7 or 8 years ago. They contacted me about running their, they wanted me to come in and run their San Antonio or the Dallas, one of the 2 offices. And I had just taken the partnership position here and I.
Oh, good. Well, Alan has been coming here every year, even before I started to join this program, 19 years ago.
They still come in every
Yeah,
year?
and he gave the, you know, the mock interview, which I'm sure you sat into a few of them.
Yeah, we did a lot of.
Yeah.
That's good. Sorry, it's taking a minute. Was I the only one that said you're going to?
No.
Sir?
That was a great catch, right?
Just great to meet all the way through.
What do you think about that?
Put it on, it's good.
So, okay, I don't know. I had a few
Also, I'm trying to unwind the PDF right now.
You takes it.
It's,
You tell I don't do many presentations. All right, somebody help me, where do I go to the next?
On the
Right.
That one?
To the left.
To the left.
Mark.
Brother,
His presentation. Mark.
Yes.
there we go. We are in business.
Look at that.
We're back.
All right, be quick about this, and like I said, I just want to have some discussion. My name is Matthew Roberts. I'm one of the partners at Gulf 6 Engineering. We're based out of Mobile. We have an office in Gulfport, Mississippi, and one in Nashville. And like I said, we're always looking to expand over the next 10 to 15 years. We are planning to open up 2 or 3 more offices. And if things work out, we could, definitely do that sooner and increase that. I graduated in 2004. I think Dr. Ramroot, you had been here, what, 1 year?
1 year.
Yeah, so I took a lot of this. Well, what did you teach? It was GIS and
Photogrammetry.
photogrammetry, yeah. So we'll just go on about it. This cover sheet is just some of the projects we worked on. You see an old Leica scan station there. We don't have that scanner anymore. It's kind of went to end of life pretty quick. So, looking at this cover sheet, this is one of these areas is a concrete plant. We do a lot of work in basically volume surveys, pretty simple stuff. We use Civil 3D for everything that we do. I know that when I was here, we took MicroStation for 2 days and that was it. And everything else was CAD or Eagle Point at the time. And since they've done away with Eagle Point, we switched over to Civil 3D. Everything that we do is Civil 3D when it comes to data processing. Just to go over a little bit about GSE, this is a pretty simplified about page. We are a full discipline engineering firm, and when I say full discipline, we are survey, civil, structural engineering, chemical, electrical, any aspect of consulting engineering we cover. We do a lot of, you may see it in here, it's listed as architectural. It is not technically architectural, it's more like building planning. If somebody was to come in here, they want to build this Wallace Hall again, then we would take all the code requirements that the city or the state would mandate for building this, making sure your ingress and egress of your doors are by code. So it's a broad range of things that we do. And the reason I want to tell y'all about the company and what we do is so that I understand that, some people may just want to, you may just want to be involved with boundary surveys and topographic surveys and things like that. But what my goal is to show you what is truly out there, because we do, like I said, with a full service. I'm always involved with scanning for our structural department. We're always surveying for our civil department. We assist our electrical department with scanning and cable tray routing and things of that nature. So we are with scanning and LiDAR and just standard surveying. We're involved with every discipline when it comes to engineering. So most of our work is in the metals industry, steel mills. I spent more hours than I can count inside the steel mill watching them make slabs. So that's kind of where our CEO likes to be. That's his forte. And we can, any questions y'all have, stop me, let's talk. I'm all about it. Engineering services, I kind of went over that. I got ahead of myself a little bit. But you can see what we do. One thing that we recently got into, and I'm not sure if you've had anybody like Mike Falk or with Falk PLI, if he's come by, or anybody like that. Precision alignment is something that we've gotten into, and it's we purchased a Faro laser tracker, and basically what it does is it measures. They call it metrology. If you want to be fancy about it, it's metrology. At the same time, you're measuring angles and distances, same thing. But to a higher accuracy and precision. This one will read it's accurate to 1/10,000th of an inch. So when you go into some of these industrial facilities and you see I know everybody's probably watched how it's made or something. You see some of these pieces of equipment that are just repetitiously doing the same thing with millimeter precision. Then how that equipment gets set by the contractors, they use a laser tracker to set that to make sure they get that repetitive motion. So that's something we're getting into a lot more. And it's something that I am planning to grow significantly in our company. Let's see. All right, here's some of the services. This is a little bit. This is procurement support, process installation. This is a good piece where we just taking care of especially when it comes to site selection and positioning. This kind of a mix. And this may be, like I said, maybe kind of outside what y'all are traditionally used to talking to about, standard boundary and topographic survey. Let's see, this is just a kind of our staff, what, all of our departments and how many people we're spread out. Some of these people in these departments actually, have dual purpose. So. Some of our recent experience, we'll blaze through some of these. If you want me to stop and want to look at them and talk about them, it's fine. This was a steel facility in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We didn't have a lot of topographic work on there. We went in and did a lot of as-built after they had installed all of the equipment to make sure that it was constructed right. See, this was one that we helped with some modeling. Our department helped with some of the 3D modeling through Revit and just being modeling. This one still hasn't taken off, but it was a good project to work on. This was supposed to be the largest aluminum facility in the United States. Airbus down in Mobile, they manufacture the A330s. We were extensively involved with the layout of that building and all of the components needed to, basically when they take one of the fuselages or parts of the plane, it all comes in multiple pieces. And so there was specific locations on the center line of that building that each different piece has to line up on. So we helped establish those points so that when they come in and they've got their laser that they're measuring, they line it up on this point, and when they bring the other part in, where this passenger portion, fuselage, and wings, whatever, as they bring every piece in, they just basically line it up and start the welding and riveting process to attach it. That was a pretty cool project too. This IKEA project, it's just the topographic work that we did for our civil engineers to help out with that. And that was in support. What was that, Mazda plant that they built up there? I can't remember what it was, but this was a parts manufacturing facility. For NASA, the Michoud assembly facility in New Orleans, we've done a lot of work there. And that's actually, as far as, that's probably one of the coolest projects that I've ever worked on. To get to see what they do with the rockets, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, they've got so much technology in their stuff that we'll see in 10 years that we just, they won't let us have yet. And it's pretty cool. Mobile container terminals, that was a smart terminal that APM terminals installed. Essentially what that is that when I say smart terminal, those container, see the big container ships, they will offload these with the two blue cranes here, and they'll set those down, and they've got some automated cranes that are precise to within millimeters, and they pick it up, read the barcode, and take it and set it in position. So it eliminates the need to have a bunch of different forklifts out there trying to pick up. So what we did on this one was, it was full service, engineering, but we helped with the automation portion, survey wise, where we went in, had to lay out all of the lay down areas, document those in state plane coordinates, and then turn a lot of that information back over to the FAA as well, because we were so close to Berkeley Airport, which was, I don't know, probably less than half an hour away. So that was a unique project as well. Kimberly Clark expansion, that was one that was, we just did some topographic work to help them expand their building. Now, we've got, there's probably, I can name hundreds of these, but I'm trying to pick some that covered a lot of geographic area as well as just different types of manufacturing facilities. One that I know some people will be interested in is a Lazy Magnolia Brewery in Mississippi. That was a fun project because sometimes you don't get invited to open houses, we're just the people that helped build it. But this one we did get to go get, the first beer after the opened. No, that was, I'm not, full transparency, I'm not a fan of Lazy Magnolia, but it was a pretty good experience. Severcore, it's another steel mill that we've done a lot of work on. That was full engineering design. That was a great project, and it lasted, about 3 years. SSAB, it's an ongoing deal. We are constantly in there. I was in there, I think, Tuesday of last week. So that's kind of where we're at in the company, with supporting our engineering side. During ongoing construction, we will go and document, basically shoot, whatever you want to call it, any utilities going in, and go ahead and help determine if there are going to be clashes with engineering. So rather than us just taking data, processing it, and then saying, here's your drawing, we will actually take their design information and do an analysis for clash detection. And that's something that, especially this facility, has been very happy with. Because, at the end of the day, some of these facilities, or most of these facilities, if they're not operating, they're not making money. And this one in particular, the bid shuts down completely. It's like, I think they said $1,300 a minute if they're down, if they're not making money. So that's a few of them. I've got another one here. I'll just take some of these out. It's another with SSAB, just some internal stuff. This project in Mexico, we never went to Mexico, but we did help with some of the modeling on that. Bill Stein, that was we already had a slideshow on that one. This Nucor mill in Blytheville, Arkansas, this is one, if you look at some of this equipment, this is where we got into a lot of precision alignment, where all of this equipment had to be in a specific location to within, it was about 40 thousandths of an inch. So we did assist with a lot of that alignment there. ThyssenKrupp, which is actually now AM&S and Food Company, that was another steel mill that I spent, early in my career, I spent 9 months on this site, 6 and 7 days a week. And that's where I learned a lot in the steel industry and construction safety. And when I say I learned a lot, you learn how to, we were working alongside probably 7 or 8 other engineering firms or contractors that had field engineers on site. And one of the biggest challenges you had was making sure everybody was on the right control. Because as y'all have seen, probably dealt with, repetition is key. But what you shoot, and what you shoot, and what you shoot is going to be different. And when I say different, you may be talking about 5,000, something, but it's going to be different. It's all about, the human placement of a tripod or a rod or whatever you're using. So, you can do all the repetitious steps you want to, but the human error, you're never going to get rid of that. And so that was one thing that we had a challenge with. And you know, the challenge that we dealt with on that one, in addition to that, was that we had to manage personalities with somebody thinking that it should have been flat, you shouldn't be able to put a piece of paper between it. And you're standing out in South Alabama on a, you know, 500 feet from the Tombigbee River and everything, you know, it's mud, you know, so you walk beside it and it's gonna move. So we had that was having to train people how to do that was very challenging. And even though it says 1.2 billion there, it actually cost them 6.1 billion to build that facility. ProTech, we didn't no surveying, they would just help us on the modeling. That was a cool project. Steel warehouse, this is another thing here that we kind of went through with alignment. You see how some of these rollers are and how they come out. Well, if you have a sheet of steel coming out of this piece of equipment and those rollers are not within that tolerance, a sheet of metal can go through there. I mean, it looks like nothing. They move it like it's a piece of paper, but if it hits one of those rolls, it can just damage all of those. So that's some of the alignment we have with. Samuel was another one we just assisted with the civil portion. Klockner was a similar as the steel warehouse, just some alignment. We did a lot of the topographic and boundary surveying for that, created some subdivisions, some industrial subdivisions out of that. AM&S, this is what used to be ThyssenKrupp. This is one that we actually, one of our coolest projects with scan and how our mechanical engineers went in and took our scan data, modeled a lot of the stuff out of the scan data, and then designed the upgrade without flaw. I mean, and I say that loosely because everything has its challenge. You know, you have your issues sometimes, but for the most part, if we hadn't had the scan, there would have been so much rework that would have been done and had been done completed in a timely manner. So these awards and recognitions of some of the, that's just something that they wanted to have in there. But I mean, it's just one of the engineering side. So, equipment foundations. This is something that we do a lot of too, with assisting our engineers. These are what they call deep foundations. The first one is it's a secant wall, what they call a secant wall. They drill down, and those are actually about 36 inches in diameter. They drill down, then excavate the dirt, and, you know, basically it's for water treatment facilities, you know, any kind of water treatment process. If you see something like that, where you see the water, it's got the, you know, may have the big drum in the middle of spinning, that is usually what you got. This is just some other foundation layout that we've done. And in addition, you know, so you got the foundation as it's being constructed, and then this is similar to what sits on top of it. You don't think of it as much, you know, if you think about some of the things that happen, but there is such a complex deal. And structural engineers, they have a way about making sure that the loads are accounted for. This is other stuff here. On some of these pours like this, we've assisted contractors before with leveling. You know, go out and we've got if you like the digital levels, and you know, to read the barcode. It's not we don't have the fancy 12s. It's a 12. They make a 12-foot rod. That's a solid barcode rod. Is that what it is now? Mm-hmm. Do y'all have any of those? Sure. Is that what it is? 12. We don't have that one. It's just a, you know, standard rod, but it does read barcode. 3D modeling and BIM. I don't know how many people are interested in that type of work, but that is, you know, something that works with the scanning. You know, we've gotten to where there's a handful of people in our office that we scan it, get it processed, do our QC checks, and we turn it over to them. They do whatever they want to after that. here. So going through some of the survey services, like I said, we have the tracker. That's something new. Crane and rail surveying. And that's not just railroads. Container, I mean, not a container, but cab over cranes and things like that you would see inside some of these manufacturing facilities, maybe 60, 70 feet up. They have specific tolerances that have to be maintained. And, which is, I think it's the CMAA. I can't remember what the acronym stands for. We have a document that says CMAA tolerances that we follow. But that's, we do a lot of rail and runway surveys and develop 3D models out of that. Construction layouts is where a lot of our work is. Assisting contractors in laying out buildings, storm, structure, sanitary, utilities. That's where a lot of our work is right now. And quite frankly, that's what my current team, that's what they prefer to do. The drone thermal imaging, we're not into photogrammetry or LiDAR with the drone yet. It's more for just aerial imaging, and we did buy a thermal camera to go on one, check for cold spots on facilities, and it's mostly in manufacturing facilities. If they starting to determine heat loss in some of their areas. So standard topographic as-built, altas. That's stuff that we have a constant backlog of. 3D scanning, that's something that has grown. We bought our first scanner in 2008, that scan station. We bought a P20 in 2015. I have an RTC 360, and we also have a BOK. Is it the BOK 360 or what it is? We don't use the BOK as much. It's more if you just want a quick view of a room, you don't want to try to scan with it on a large project. We're looking to upgrade, and we're always, what we typically do with the equipment is we use it until it either we can't get updates for it or it just quits working. Yeah, we're not opposed to buying new stuff, but if it's not broke, I'll replace it. So now sometimes you will have to upgrade just because technology has advanced. But if with scanning, the scanner that we have now, the P20 is a phase-based. Yeah, it's gotta be. You can scan in here and get a full detail in less than a minute. The scan station that we have would take that same 58-second scan would take you 45 minutes to gather just because of it's just a slow process. So you just got, there's so much equipment out there, so much differing equipment. You have to use the right equipment for the right application. So some of the general service people that we service, as you hear, it's all over the place. We do a lot of government work. Heavy industrial, like I said, even though it's metals, we still do a lot for the pulp and paper industry, chemical plants, oil and gas. Now, we're not heavy in oil and gas. To be quite honest with you, if you want to make great money quick, oil and gas is where it's at. But it's temperamental too. So there's our metals industry. Like I said, that's our forte, but we do a lot of work in else. All right, so I may have went on a little bit longer than what I had anticipated. So let's have some discussion.
Great question.
Okay.
You said are licensed in 31 states, whatever. Is that how many of those are like surveyed, or is that more engineering stuff? 7?
Yeah, I'm licensed in Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, and Louisiana, and I've got a licensed surveyor. He's in Kentucky. I've got one in Nashville. He's in Kentucky, Tennessee, and maybe Arkansas. So, as y'all know, or maybe not, it's a pain to get licensed as a surveyor. That, you know, you can't, you know, the engineering, 95% of the states, you can just fill out a piece of paper and say, you know, take an ethics exam and you can get your license. With us, you know, if you want to get licensed in every state, you got. So what we're trying to do is expand that, you know, where I don't mind getting licensed in more states, but I can't, you know, I just don't have time. So I need to make sure that I get somebody, you know, start hiring people and get them in that can do that. The way that I run our department is pretty simple. You know, somebody that would come out of college would pretty much be in the field a lot, doing a lot of that, you know, front end work of figuring out what you need to do, working with CAD on how to calculate points, doing deed research, anything, all the analysis of title commitments within an Alta, and then be the person to go out into the field and actually take the shots on. Because the only way, in my mind, and this is just purely an opinion, so you can take it from where it was, you've got to obtain that field experience to know what to do in the office. You know, I've worked with people that have been on all sides of it, and you know, in my opinion, that's where we are, and that's the way that it'll always be as long as I'm with GSE. So, you know, we do spend a lot of time in the field. As a matter of fact, I still go out in the field. I'm leaving Sunday afternoon to go to Jacksonville for 3 days, and you know, but doing that, I'm still learning and still want to train and, you know, make sure that everybody in the crew or everybody in the survey department learns from the experiences that I have too. So we've got a lot of experienced people. We're, you know, obviously trying to grow that, and you know, we're not opposed to buying equipment. I know y'all probably heard that from a lot of people, but we're not. I mean, if we can, it's a pretty simple business model for us. You know, we do work, we get paid, and we do. So we don't deal with any grants or anything like that. It's all, you know, we do a job for a person or a company and they pay us. So it's kind of a simplified version of how I like to do it. Now, currently, and I can tell you how I came up to be. I worked on a construction crew before I went to college. Figured out I needed to come to Troy to get my degree to become licensed. I did that. Worked for Richard Keith with Wiregrass Engineering. Worked for him while I was in college. Then when that was over, or actually probably about, I'd say about 6 months after, maybe even a year after I graduated, I moved to Mobile and took the position here as a party chief. And I say party chief, the department was so new that I was handed TopCon robotic total station, and we'd be given a folder every morning to go survey.
We didn't have that time.
Oh, I know. I learned it the hard way. So so over the course of, you know, so that was in 2005, and so I've been there 16 years. I had no inkling to go try to find a job anywhere else. I've enjoyed it here, and then I was invited to be a partner, which, you know, in my opinion, is rare to have a surveyor as a partner in the engineering firm. So I took the opportunity, and here I am. I still run the survey department now. I'm the operations manager for our company, so, which is why I have a broader understanding of the engineering side. And I don't know that, you know, there's not a lot of people that may have that. So one of the reasons, obviously, coming to talk today was definitely, you know, want to let you guys know that we are looking to hire. You know, we'd love to, if you wanted to be in Gulfport, great. If you want to go to Nashville, we can make that work too. If you want to be in Mobile. But also to just kind of let you know where I came from, how I got to be, what our company does, and just what type of involvement you can have as a surveyor outside of, just topographic boundary GPS surveys, because there's so much more. And once you understand a lot of the engineering side, I mean, Katie Warrenville, you're good. I mean, you're I guess the sky's the limit at that point. So, any questions?
I guess with the precision alignment using that Faro instrument, has that made you guys consider like a Faro laser scanner? Also getting that, I know you talked about possibly upgrading laser scanners. I don't know how that is.
No, and I tell you, so what we run currently is TopCon. We run TopCon total stations. We have a Zakia IX30, I believe, and all of our scanners are Leica. And I demoed a Faro one time. I didn't like it. So I mean, that's just a simple answer.
Yes, sir.
So I mean, it's Leica, in my opinion, them and Regal were at the top of the chain when it came to scanning, and their software it's very expensive to maintain every year, but it's worth it to me. And I'm not knocking Faro, it's just I didn't like it.
Yes, sir.
Just personal preference. I know people that have used what is it, Faro Scene, is that what they use? So are y'all have any scanners or?
We do. We recently got one. What's the name of it? Dr. Hughes is using that one.
I can get off hand.
Yeah.
One of them.
I mean, there's so many out there now, TopCon, Trimble, I mean, everybody's making them. So we stuck to Leica and only on the scanners. TopCon's been, once they got their optics better, we stuck with it. That industry is becoming very cutthroat too, because not one's going to work with the other. I mean, even 10 years ago, you could buy a data collector and it would have 50 different models of instrument or GPS units in there. Now you may have 4, and it's because the others paid the other one off to play nice.
Can you give these guys and lady an idea of the employment package you have?
The employment package?
Yeah,
So
salary,
everything
that's
that we
specific.
do is, there's no salary positions, everything's an hourly position. Pay for every hour you work, that you work. It's one of those, I think it's called, maybe exempt. So, it's not overtime, it's straight. If anything over 40 is, it's still straight time, but it's almost like you're gonna be guaranteed your 40, but anything above 40 you still get paid for. So, we have I think we have 9 paid holidays a year. Our 401k program we pay 50 cents on the dollar up to 6% of 401k. You get a company paid life insurance policy of $50,000. I think when you hit 65, it goes down to like 25 or something like that. But let's see what else. 2 weeks of paid vacation after a year, 3 weeks after 5, 4 weeks after 15. All your continuing education is paid for by us. And we're not going to fly you to Hawaii to go get your continuing ed, but unless there's good reason. So, but we do pay for that. Any college outside of that, once you obtain your degree, you want to work on your master's. So if you want to get a business, your MBA, you want to assist with that. One of the ways we've done in the past is you pay for the class, maintain a B average, we reimburse you once that's proven. That's just the way it works. So, and that's not just tuitions, books, you still have to maintain your day-to-day duties at work, but, then that, let's see, what else am I forgetting?
Co-op opportunities. Do you do co-ops?
We can do co-ops. Yep, we can do a co-op. I mean, we, typically every summer we have an intern in each office, and I say intern's a paid position. But, that can be any type. Now surveying, I'll always have room for that. We can always do that. And like I said, I've got the guys that are experienced to learn a lot from. And you'll figure out what you don't like to. And I think that's key. Trying, I guess, how should I put it? If you want to, everybody has an idea of what you like, but until you do it, you don't know. For me, I like the construction side of it. The job I'm going on in Jacksonville, we're basically cutting the legs out of a 300-foot tall crane and moving it over, and I'm going to help them align it. And not with our tractor either, just a total station and some sticky targets. I mean, that's what I like to do. I'm standing on a port in Fernandina Beach, Florida. It's right on the water. All you're having to do is just sit there and take some shots. So yeah, I mean, there's always work something.
High precision work. So have there been instances where you are doing wrong?
Oh yeah. So I'll give you an example. I'm not picking up. I've had one major screw up myself, but once you're the manager of a department, every screw up is your screw up. So you want to look at the person and say what you do, it doesn't matter. You're always going to get with that. So, and it can happen. And right after Katrina, the big project was in 2009. Yeah, so it's a few years after that. I overlaid a drawing in the wrong location on the water park, and they installed 300 wood piles in the wrong place, 20 feet off. And I had to hand deliver a check for $47,000. So another project that just happened in January of last year, a similar thing happened. No, in GPS, have y'all talked about difference in international and survey fee? Okay. That is an absolute real thing. Do not ever think that doesn't matter. And the reason I say that, we had a project that everything was given to us in metric. And now me, I love working in meters. It's so much easier. People bounce on it, whatever. That's just me. We had a project given to us in meters. The guy that was doing all the work didn't want to work in meters, so he converted everything. He converted it into international fee. Now, Civil 3D, you have to make sure that your settings are in a specific, it's a US survey fee, international, and metric. The CAD file was set up correctly, but when it was brought into the database, it was not. And that was, there was about 57 light bulbs that got put in the parking lot, and they paved over it. Typically, it doesn't sound like a big deal, right? It's just some line work, I wouldn't go together. Well, they had such little clearance on one side close to the right of way of the road that it put the whole parking lot out of compliance. To re-asphalt that parking lot was $265,000. There's an emissions insurance. That's what I got to. But still, the deductible on that's $50,000. So the reason I'm glad you asked that question, because it's not always unicorns and rainbows. It's and to now that I'm in the position that I'm in with partnership, that's it. You look at it a little bit differently than what you used to, because then I'm looking at, well, there's $50,000. I just signed a check for $50,000. And that sucks.
And least converse adjustment will not pick that up.
No, and that's and that's one, that's great to say it like that because it's right. It won't. It's a human element.
Yeah, and that's why we tell these students, when you do things with computer software, know exactly what's going on in the background. So simple like that, that's very costly.
Yeah, and I mean, and it could have been prevented. The thing is, all of those errors, like the one that I had to replace those piles on, I just snapped it to the, put it in the wrong location. It was a simple miss. And I calculated everything that we went on about the business. So I will say that too, that I feel like there's a difference in when it comes to construction versus down things like that. There's a risk for all of it. But on the construction side, it tends to stink a lot more. So.
All right, you have more questions? Well, thank you very much, Matthew.
Yeah.
And contact information, I think it's available here and your phone.
Yeah, we'll set some cards out and everybody can get them if they want them. If y'all want, I got all kinds of them.
And I don't want this to be the only time you visit us.
No.
Please make it a semester event. Lots of companies are coming in, so the more they get to know you, the better, the most likely to contact you all.
Yeah, and that's, so my cell, my office line and my email are on the cards. If you want to email me, I'm notorious for not answering the call. So texting does work great for me, but you can also email me too. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to help out. So.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah. Glad to know that everything good. Good to know that everything went well. Anybody else want? Extra. I have two more.
I'll take one.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Take the tea home too.
Yeah.
I saw they don't deal a lot with Arkman. Deal with Arkman.
We do, yeah.
You have
I think
anything
my
to
dad
add?
went to the VP.
Yeah.
Frankfurt resale. He was
My
about
CEO.
He was about to your house.
I don't want to take one of those.
So if you peel the back of it off,
It's definitely wrong.
but it's not, I mean, you can lift it up and just.
Take this pen out of here. Thank you.
Those are erasable.
Erasable pens?
Yep.
Dang. That's.